Today's show and the following message are brought to you by a former guest, Bob Hoban, founder of Hoban Law Group, which is the first exclusive cannabis law firm. They have offices throughout the U.S. and the world. Listen to MJBulls Episode 7 or go to Hoban Law for all your cannabis legal needs.
The majority of what we've focused on has been plant touching across cultivation and, manufactured brands. A little bit on the retail side, not as much on the retail side. We have done a little bit in the ancillary. So, we kind of want to diversify a little bit more into that area.
From Bumming It Media, it's the MJBulls Podcast, a show about raising cannabis capital. I'm Dan Humiston, and on today's show, how Big Rock Partners is connecting companies that are raising cannabis capital to companies and individuals who are investing cannabis capital. Today we're speaking to the founding partners at Big Rock Partners, a strategic advisory firm located in Northern California. We're here with Scott Williamson and Joyce Cenali, and they're in their offices are you in San Francisco?
That's correct.
Well, welcome to the MJBulls Podcast.
Thanks for having us.
This will be an interesting interview for us today because you guys are sort of in between the cannabis companies that are raising capital and the investors that want to invest in the cannabis industry. Can you tell us a little bit more about Big Rock Partners to kind of get this thing started?
Sure thing. So Big Rock Partners was founded by a group of folks that came from a bunch of different industries, and pretty much all of us had some inroads into cannabis in some way, shape, or form. And so what we do is we're a strategic advisory firm that helps companies and investors sort of come together at the focus of food, hospitality, and cannabis. Many years ago, Big Rock was formed as a family office and was really focused on hospitality and sort of food media area. And then certain cannabis investments started to come into play. And basically, we've evolved the organization to be a partnership because we've had a huge number of accredited investors and family offices kind of knocking on the door to gain access to angel, seed stage, Series A companies in the cannabis space. So we provide kind of a diligence funnel for those investors to take a look at what we feel are some of the best brands, mostly in Northern California, but across California at large.
Okay. And so like if there were a high net worth individual or a family office that wanted to get into cannabis, they would reach out to a company like yours directly and then you take it from there?
Yes. We have a lot of great inbounds and we're pretty diligent about that communication. So in terms of diligence process, it goes both ways, looking to make sure that the investor is accredited and sort of shares our values suite. And then similarly with brands that we work with as well.
Okay. What are the things that cannabis companies right now that are raising money should be doing to get groups like yours attention?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put it into a couple different buckets. First and foremost, on the diligence piece, there have been some transitions in California, the legal market rolling out as of January 1st, and then a lot of substantive changes taking place on July the 1st. Companies are, in some cases, having to transition from the former method that businesses organized was through either a nonprofit or a mutual benefit not-for-profit corporation. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing a lot of transitions on the actual formation into operating companies. And in some cases, a company is three different entities, a holdco with a couple different actual operating companies underneath it. So we really look at how are they creating a proper investment vehicle that is appropriate and that, you can not only put money into, but you can get money out of eventually. So that diligence piece is one of the first important areas. The second is obviously revenues, and are they trending in the market? Do they have something special? And that would, come into sales and distribution stability. And also, do they have any sort of secret sauce or IP that's really specialized? And then the third category would be people. We like to work with great teams that have strong networks, have built great SOPs, that have surrounded themselves with strong managers and a great staff.
You're in Northern California, and I know most of your focus is in Northern California, but you're pretty much open to just about any cannabis investments right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. I would say we lean a bit premium. So some of the brands that are going to be a little bit more middle market focused maybe aren't necessarily aligned with, our appetite. But if you have a really great trending product, it's definitely something that we want to take a look at. We have done, I would say the majority of what we've focused on has been plant touching across cultivation and, manufactured brands. A little bit on the retail side, not as much on the retail side. We have done a little bit in the ancillary. So, we kind of want to diversify a little bit more into that area. We're pretty agnostic.
Okay. I'm sure our listeners are going to find that encouraging because I know a lot of our investors are still skittish about anything that touches the plant. So they're looking for opportunities outside of that as well. So that's interesting. Just a quick shout out to one of our former guests, Vivid Grow, a cannabis lighting and technology company which is expanding its brand through organic growth and strategic acquisitions. Listen to MJBulls episode 15 or go to vividgrow.com to learn more. Now, if a company's raising capital, how do they find companies like yours? You're not in the help wanted or in the classifieds, I should say. So where do companies identify groups like yours?
Well, I think Joyce mentioned it earlier. It's a small-ish network in the Bay Area that's growing. It's amazing how there's just a few degrees of separation between just about everybody. That will change in time, obviously, as the market matures. But right now, it's a lot of word of mouth.
Okay.
Yeah. We're pretty present at various conferences. We've attended and had speaking roles at New West Summit for the last couple of years. And, we're very engaged with NCIA and California Growers Alliance and California Distribution Association. Myself, one of our other team members we've worked in operations in cannabis for some time. So we attend a lot of the local San Francisco-based regulatory meetings. We go to Sacramento quite frequently as well. So we try and be really in front of what's happening on the compliance track. So it's a small network in terms of the brands, and it's really the investors that deal flow and them sort of finding us definitely kind of comes more word of mouth, so to speak.
Okay. That makes sense. Especially where you guys are. It's like you're right in the hotbed. When a deal comes together and we're in the middle of a deal, these guys want to raise capital. This company's raising capital. You find the investors that want to get involved. Are you involved in that process in working through the details of the transaction?
Yes, definitely. So we have kind of a diligence filter. We preview, and if we're really interested and it looks like it's the right set of circumstances, then we'll sort of run it through it's not a super fancy algorithm, but we have a process. And basically, in understanding what specific investors' appetites are, whether that be plant touching, early stage, strong growth opportunity, or a specific sector within, any of these sectors, we would then put that information in front of those investors.
Well, we've been speaking with Joyce and Scott from Big Rock Partners, and all their information, all of Big Rock's information, and their email addresses will all be on the MJBulls website at mjbulls.com. Guys, thanks so much for explaining all this to me. I know we took our time and went through a lot of details, but I think this is going to be really helpful for our listeners. Thank you.
You're welcome, Dan. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan.
Good luck. Today's show and the following message are brought to you by AgriScience Labs, the largest, most established cannabis testing network in Colorado. To find out how you can get the most accurate and reliable test results, visit agrisciencelabs.com. Thanks for listening to the MJBulls podcast. To learn more about today's guest or to become a guest, visit our website at mjbulls.com. Today's show was produced by Bumminit Media with original music composed by Jamie Humiston. I'm Dan Humiston, and you've been listening to the MJBulls podcast.